You are now listening to The Perfect Prana with Kyah Ann. What's poppin'? What's good? You're listening to The Perfect Prana Show on 88.1 FM WCRX, also available on Apple and Spotify. I'm Kyah Ann, your host, and a yoga enthusiast, and a girl who is trying her best right now. I have a great show up for you guys today. The usual yoga news, where I talk about what's going on in the yoga world, yoga controversies, yoga hills, where I speak with a very special guest about their practice, and the weekly wellness challenge, which is pretty self-explanatory. But before we get into all of that, let's center ourselves. Let's take this moment to go inward, to focus on our breath, to focus on our prana. Prana translating to breath, as in the breath of life, our life energy source. It has a few translations. But no matter where you're at, you're driving in the car, you're sitting on the couch, you're laying in your bed, walking in the park, there's an array of options. Let's just take this moment to lengthen out our spine. So sit up nice and tall, stand up nice and tall, or even lengthen your spine while laying down to allow breath to effortlessly move through your body. Relax your shoulders, lengthen your neck, relax your jaw, relax your eyebrows. Maybe soften your gaze, maybe close your eyes. And take a deep inhale through your nose. And exhale, sigh it out like making it nice and loud, relieving tension, feeling the stillness in your body. Take a deep inhale through your nose, right into your belly. Let the breath travel past your rib cage, past your chest, filling all the way up. And exhale, sigh it out from your throat, emptying your rib cage and emptying your belly completely. Take a deep inhale through your nose, starting at the base, letting the breath travel upward, nourishing each part of your body. And exhale to sigh it out like And one more time, let's take a deep inhale together. Filling up all the way, inflating our bellies like balloons, relaxing your shoulders still, and exhale to sigh it all out like pooling in your belly button all the way, pushing out all the breath. Let your breath come back to a steady rhythm. And I am centered. Let's get on with the show. Yoga news. Usher under fire over yoga retreat with Russel Simmons. Not a good look. Okay, so for those of you who don't know who Russel Simmons is, he was the founder or the co-founder of Def Jams and this super big guy in hip-hop. He's a record executive. He created a lot in the hip-hop culture and influenced the culture just in a lot of ways. I don't need to tell you who Usher is. If you don't know who Usher is, then come on, Super Bowl, come on. Anyways, Russel Simmons now, he's in this part of his career where he's a yogi. He did all his business stuff and now he is an intense yogi. He owns a resort. I believe that he owns it. Either that or he promotes it. But he has this resort, and it's a lot of yoga retreats happen at this resort. And it looks like he leads these retreats. They're probably expensive. Anyways, of course he invited Usher to the retreat. And he posted Usher up like, hey, Usher at my retreat, we're doing yoga. People had things to say. Actually, Kamora Lee, Russel Simmons' ex, posted about it. She said that they are some wild boys. So basically in the post, so everybody's been getting on him, including Kimora Lee. Why are people getting on him? Well, one thing is Russel Simmons was under fire for a bunch of sexual assault allegations. A lot of women came out, had all these stories about Russel Simmons and how horrible he was and how he R-word and just assaulted them and just did some grimy stuff. I read a comment that somebody said it was with underage women too, but I don't know. And I looked on a Rolling Stone article, and the latest allegation I see was from like 2016, so that wasn't that long ago. That was like 8 years ago. By the way, he denied all these allegations. There was a lot of allegations. People say where there's smoke, there's fire. And let me tell you something about Hollyweird. And all these people coming out with a lot of these men in Hollywood and exposing the things that they do. And I believe it. I mean, to an extent. There's a lot that goes on in Hollyweird. There's a lot of drugs. There's just a lot of temptations and evil things going on. And when you mix people doing bad things or people behaving poorly, and then you mix that with drugs and alcohol, then you probably get even more poor behavior. It just makes sense. I don't know what Russel Simmons did. I wasn't there. I'm not going to take away these women's stories, though. I'm not going to take that away from them. If he really did all these egregious acts, then he should be jailed immediately. But there's no way for us to confirm that he did these egregious acts, I guess. Maybe there was a way, but maybe he used his money to make sure those ways didn't get out. I don't know. It kind of just seems like no matter what Russel Simmons does, he's going to be under fire because he has these horrible allegations against him. And anybody that is associated with Russel Simmons is also going to be under fire because people are like, why are you associating yourself with somebody who has done such horrible things? Talking about this stuff is always so sticky though, because it's just like, I don't know these people and I wasn't there. And I hate to be that person that's silencing women and that's like, you know what I'm saying? Like the whole thing now is being a girl's girl and, being on women's side and taking women's word for it. And yeah, so it's hard to be too opinionated on this subject. Whether Russel Simmons did all of this stuff, I hope that the people that were hurt by him heal. I hope that they heal from whatever it is. And if they weren't hurt by him and they made these allegations, then I also hope that they heal. But as for Russel Simmons, if he did all that stuff to those women, I hope he heals. And if he didn't do that stuff and he's getting accused, I hope he heals. Wasn't that a great politician answer? But I'm just like, why is Usher being under fire for this? Like I said, if you are associated with somebody that has done something sexually indecent, then you're automatically under fire. That's a little hard and a little unfair because all of us, every single one of us walking on this planet Earth is probably associated with somebody that has done something sexually indecent. You've either done something yourself or you're associated with somebody that has done something. Because this culture is really messed up, and it is just so easy to make somebody feel uncomfortable, especially when it comes to sex. It's so easy. So then at a certain point, it's like you might have hurt somebody even when you didn't intend, but you still did. But either way, speaking from Usher's perspective, it's probably like, that's my homie. Like, that's, you know what I'm saying? And everybody has homies that have done things that are like, oh, you were being kind of inconsiderate and insensitive to the women you were dealing with when it came to sex, but they still stayed homies. It's not, we shouldn't condone that behavior. And, people should tell their friends if they know, like, hey, don't go out here acting this way. But it's just, that's the reality of the situation. So Usher's like, and Usher might be like, I wasn't there, he doesn't know these women. He wasn't there when these situations may or may not have occurred. So I don't know. And either way, these allegations are going back to like the 80s maybe, or the 90s. They were going back to the 90s. The latest one being 2016. Let's just give Russell the benefit of the doubt. Let's just say he started getting into his yogic ways and started becoming more cognizant of how he was moving with women. Let's just give him the benefit of the doubt, and that he left that lifestyle and he doesn't do that anymore, and that he learned, hey, this was wrong. This is not the good way to act. So like, Russell might be like, I'm a changed man, I swear, you know what I'm saying? It's 2024. People can go through a lot of changes in 8 years. If I was Usher, I'd probably go on the yoga retreat too. Maybe Usher wanted to go and celebrate the changes of Russell becoming a better person. I don't know. You gotta give both of them the benefit of the doubt, Something else I didn't like were people making jokes. Again, Russell's ex kind of making some snide comments and underlying jokes about the fact that they're doing yoga together, they're men doing yoga together, and I just don't think that's cool. It's 2024. Like, come on. Yoga is for everybody. It's not just for women. It's not just for gay men. It's for everybody. Just because you practice yoga, you practice movements that make you stronger, more mobile, and more balanced, doesn't make you anything other than a person that is improving. There is no relationship between your yoga practice and your sexual orientation or who you mess with or what. Like, no. Like, come on. Like, let's not do that. Let's not put yoga in that box. Because, and then with doing that, it's just like, when we do that, we take the practice away from people. People that might feel inclined to practice yoga. When we're making fun of other men for practicing yoga and other black men for practicing yoga and emasculating them, then we're taking that away from men that might feel inclined to practice yoga. And that's not cool. Yoga can be masculine and it can also be feminine. Like, it's everything. It's for everybody. Everybody deserves to practice yoga and to still have a sense of self and not feel like, oh, this makes me this certain type of person. Like, no. Let's not do that. That wasn't cool. Yoga heals. So, if you can't tell by the way that I sound on this show, then I'm gonna let you know I've been going through things this week. It's been a rough week. and my interview for this week just didn't really pan out. So I wanted to re-air this interview because the first time I aired it, I was not happy with it. It was really bugging me because I messed up the audio and I had a deadline, so I still turned it in, but I was just really like, this sounds horrible. I hope nobody listens to this. So it's been living in my mind rent free. So I'm going to take this week to correct my wrong, re-air the interview with some better quality audio. And yeah, this week's guest, Amy Stoles. She was in my teacher training. She is a lovely, bubbly, fun personality. She's been practicing yoga a long time to help with her mental health. She teaches children with special needs and she loves dogs. So on with the interview. Hey, Amy.
Good.
How are you, Amy?
We're living the dream. I teach yoga tonight.
Yes. Where?
I teach with Paris and Alan at Centered. Oh, we all teach different days. I think Alan teaches 2 classes on Monday. Paris teaches Sunday evening, and then I teach Thursday evening.
Yes, that is so good. So how do you like teaching classes? How's that going for you?
So I actually looked into teaching because when I first started my YTT, I was like, I think I would be so good at like core power or at like a more corporate yoga place. Okay. Sorry. Okay. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And Paris and I talked about it a lot. And I went and I started talking to somebody from a more corporate yoga company, and it was good in email. And then they had like a workshop, kind of like this is what the audition will be like. You have to audition. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go to it. And at first I was really grumpy about going to the audition or the practice workshop thing. It was 3 hours from 5 to 8 p.m. on like a Thursday night. And like, your girl teaches high school special education. Me time is very important. But I was like, no, I should just go and see. And I'm so thankful I did because I hated it. And I was like, I am not about to go and audition. Number one, from like where you and I did YTT, so different from like the corporate yoga world. There's exact formulas, exactly like it's a script. And you have to memorize a script. And I didn't know, I did not read the fine print, that it was that script heavy. So I did not have it memorized. So I like embarrassed myself in front of like 10 people, but that's much better than like the hundreds that they had auditioning that week. So I was like, and I didn't like the script. So there was that. And then I went to a different place. There's a different corporate yoga place in Chicago that focuses on like heated yoga. And that wasn't great either because it seemed more of like a workout class than yoga. So I took a class and I was like, I don't feel very centered or yoga. One, I feel hot and gross and I really don't like hot yoga. It's just too hot. And then number 2, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is just like, I don't even think I felt that I was really doing yoga. I didn't feel like a true authentic connection, like the mindfulness, the body awareness together. It felt more like Pilates. And I love Pilates, don't get me wrong, but like going into the class, I thought it was going to be more yoga than Pilates. And then, yeah, at Centered, I was like, wait, no. Centered is very like, hi, bud. Centered is very similar to like Yoga View in the sense of like style.
I never really even went to a corporate place to take a yoga class, but I knew that I didn't want to do that, like a yoga 6 or whatever, because I felt like it was going to be like, there is no like creative control, like this is what you do.
Oh, it is.
It just, yeah, like
it is.
Like, no,
yeah.
Not the vibe. That's one thing about like LA Fitness. I show up, I teach whatever. But I feel like I could not work at a corporate place because I make too many mistakes.
Yeah. No.
I can't even tell my right from my left. Like,
Yes, and they're very specific. Like they have a formula, so it was like you first introduce the flow, so like sun A, and then after like when you do that, we learned this, so this was normal, like whatever, like body part, direction, whatever the heck it was. Now I like can't even remember. It was like action words, so like raise your body part, hand, then verb, up to the sky, something like that, right? So that's how you start it out. And then you say inhale or exhale and then pose. And then you can give one cue, like open your shoulders like you're twisting a jar of jam. And that's it. And then you move on to the next pose in the sun A. And then when you do it the second time, you're only allowed to say inhale, pose, exhale, pose. And you can't say anything else. It's just very, very specific.
Too specific. I don't do well with stuff like that. I like it to be like very conversational. That's what when I'm teaching a class, I'm like, okay, so do this. And I might somehow be like, I like, it's a conversation, to be honest. Like, I couldn't do that. So, but, well, I'm glad that Center Studios is nice and small. And
I like that it's small. You can't have a big class.
When did you start practicing yoga, and why do you still practice yoga?
When I was in third grade, I had terrible anxiety. So, for background reference, I am adopted. And I think like growing up, I had some pretty bad separation anxiety. I told my mom she can like write a book about it because it was so bad. And so I just had like I could barely get through school, like first and second grade. I would just cry the whole time and my mom was like, she's gotta do something, she's gotta do something. And so my mom was like, I just think she needs to find something that can like help her like be calm and just like breathe. That was like the whole goal. And so then we started doing yoga. And that was actually I did like a little it's called like Yoga Kids Camp. And it was like a summer camp and it was like 3 days a week. We did yoga for like 3 hours. And it was actually great. And that is how I like initially got started. But actually, I was a dancer at the time too, and I danced at Joffrey for a really long time, studying ballet and all different types of dance. And I've always really liked movement. And in like high school time, I was like, oh, I'm a professional dancer. And I did the whole dance thing and danced in college, was one of those like sideline cheer dancer pom girls. But then after like college, I was like, oh my gosh, like I'd always like in college and high school, like done yoga on the side, but not as heavily as I did dance. And then after college, I was like, I'm done with the dance world. Like I can't I finished teaching and coaching a dance competition team. And I was like, it's been real. This is too much mental strain on just the drama. I couldn't do it. I was like, I'm outie. So then I'd always been like doing yoga on the side in college because our school offered like most schools free yoga classes. And I was doing that and I was like, oh, I really like it. And I had toyed with the idea, maybe I should get like my certificate so I could like teach here at the school, and never did it. Found a job teaching dance. And then after college, I was like, no, we're doing it. We're going to do it. And we kind of sat on it for a bit. I started my first year teaching. It was really stressful. I did yoga on the side at home, just like on YouTube videos or classes. I'd pop into the Core Power because it was like literally across the street from me at the time. And then my friend got her yoga certificate. And I was like, oh, I can't believe she had the audacity to do it before me. And so that I was like, no, I have to go get mine. And so I was like terrified because I was like, oh my God, we're supposed to do all this in a month. But I was like, this is the only time it's going to work for me. So that is how we did the yoga certificate, how we got to this point. So I guess, long story short, I've always had yoga around in my life, but more so in my like later later adult life at the ripe age of 24, I've been doing it more frequently and using it more as more of a emotional and mental connection and less of a like workout. I don't even know if that answered your question. A lot of words.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess it was really like, why do you still practice yoga? You said as a mental and emotional connection. What does that mean?
I think it can mean so many things to so many people, but I feel like for myself, time that I get to, I'm very bad at spending time alone, like with myself. And I feel like dance has always been like, oh, I'm okay spending time with myself. I felt like beautiful when I danced. And I was able to like, I'd come out like so, my mind was just like clear. And I was able to like express emotions through dance that I like couldn't in like words. And I feel like yoga has kind of like done and served that same purpose. Just being able to sit with tough emotions, because sometimes it's like, hard to just sit with not bad emotions, but hard emotions and just sit there. But yoga kind of like allows you to open up that space for yourself to be in that vulnerable position. And then I think it also allows you to be focused on you, which can be really hard sometimes. So at least for me, it's so hard. I'm like, well, I could be doing this, but I could like also like, what am I going to make for dinner? But what I'm like, it's so hard to just focus on you. And yoga kind of gives you that opportunity to be like, okay, let me just think about my body and my headspace in this warrior two. And that's all we're thinking about right now. Doesn't matter what we're making for dinner in 2 hours. That's what we're doing right now. Oh, please, no, Kobe. Come here.
That's actually really relatable. I feel like I feel beautiful when I'm doing yoga. Sorry, I'm like straight up here fiddling right now. So I'm like,
yeah, I'm holding an otter.
Yeah, but I feel beautiful when I'm doing yoga. I'm not like I like to dance, but I'm never like became like a really, really good dancer or anything like that. It's something I used to do when I was little. Like I used to take dance classes. Then I went through a time period in life where I was embarrassed to dance or like to even move at times because I was embarrassed in like my body. Like, man, I probably look really silly doing whatever it is. So it's just sometimes you just become complacent. But I will say, post YTT, and actually even a little bit before YTT, I've just found myself really getting into yoga and feeling like that beautiful and all free and flowy how you feel when you dance.
Yeah.
So it is truly a nice experience. I do it when I'm alone a lot too. Like if I don't know what to do, I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just
do some yoga.
Seriously. So it's definitely helped me be alone. How is life post YTT? How have you noticed any changes?
Well, I definitely can't meditate for 30 minutes anymore. I was like, I'm going to keep doing this. And I think we have to like, my dog is like hacking up along next to me. I feel like I have to like build up to 30 minutes again. Like I can do 15 pretty easily. I don't know, something about the threshold of like 30 is real challenging nowadays. But during YTT, I could get through it pretty easily at the very end. So that's disheartening. But post YTT, I feel like, especially when I was like looking at corporate positions, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so critical now of yoga classes. Will I ever enjoy a yoga class again? Like before, like when you took yoga class, you're like, this is great. You had no idea. And then you do YTT and you're like, oh my God, what should you say that? Or would I do that sequence? Or, like, is that the cue I would use? Oh, I would know. I would use more Sanskrit or whatever. Now I'm like, oh my God, will I ever be able to enjoy calm, relaxing yoga class again?
How has your daily practice changed with yoga? Or like, have you seen improvement with your practice with yoga in general afterwards?
I'm gonna be real honest, not very yogi of me. But after that, I didn't do yoga for quite some bit of time. I was like, I need a break. I need a hot minute real quick. And so I kind of took a break. And then I've like only recently started up because I was looking at potentially positions of teaching yoga. And then I took Paris's class. And then I had a demo class. So now I'm kind of like back in the groove. But for a hot minute there, we had a solid break. A break in the action there. Now when I practice yoga, besides just being a little more aware about how to do the positions, I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably open my shoulders doing that. Or, I should probably like do this. I think I'm a lot more conscious of my breath, honestly. That sounds super weird. But sometimes in like yoga classes, they'd be like, breathe in, breathe out. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm Asian. Asians have small nostrils. I was like, I can't breathe in for that long and I cannot breathe out for that long. But now, I don't know why. And I don't know if it's because we did some, like pranayama practice and education on that, or if I just like care more, I don't know. But now I actually kind of do the breath. I actually use the Ujjayi breath because sometimes I'd be like, I'm not breathing like that. I'd be like, I'm Asian. I have to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. It can't work else in another way.
That's honestly beautiful, though. Breathing is important. This is the Perfect Prana show, after all. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I just remember talking about our stories and kind of like who we were, how we got to the points where we got to in training. And I loved hearing everybody's story. And it was all so different, but we were all like in the same place. But I guess that kind of inspired this section for the show.
Yay! Well, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
And I'm so happy that you are here. You don't even know how happy I'm. As a yoga teacher, this is the tradition on the show. Before we go, I need you to cue us through a quick breath, a pranayama.
Well, who do you think I am? Just kidding.
A yoga teacher. That's who you are.
So, my dogs will be inspired by my dogs. And honestly, I did this. I don't know if we did this honestly at Yoga Feet, YGT, but when I was little, we used to call them bunny breasts. And I don't know, I was just like instantly drawn to them. So what the actual term is, you're going to have to ask someone else because we didn't get that far at Yoga Kids, okay? So the way that it works is you're going to breathe in through your nose, and when you do so, kind of pretend you're smelling like soup, or as we were taught as children, you're a little bunny and you're sniffing, sniffing, sniffing. So we're taking about 5 to 10 sniffs as we inhale, and then as we exhale through the mouth, releasing all of our good smells back out into the universe. Alrighty, ready? So, taking a moment, finding yourself, being centered, and breathing in through your nose, quick little bunny breaths. Exhale through the mouth. One more time, inhale. Exhale through the mouth. Wonderful.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Amy, for coming on to the Perfect Prana show. I love you, and I love your chaotic dogs. They're hilarious. Like this whole time.
I feel so bad. I was like, y'all gotta shut up. There was one point where I was just like holding their noses. I was like, oh, their dad's home.
Thank you, Amy. Namaste.
Namaste.
Weekly wellness challenge. Last week's challenge was Saucha, cleanliness. It was a journal challenge. Basically, the challenge was to write 3 things that no longer deserve my energy or your energy, and to write 3 things that you've learned about yourself in the last 30 days. Kind of like a mental cleanse theme. I don't know. Anyways, I said you can practice cleanliness however you want. And boy, oh boy, did I practice cleanliness. I feel like being sick is practicing cleanliness without a doubt. And honestly, it's a forced way of practice cleanliness. If you don't cleanse, if you don't rest, then your body will force you to do it. It will do things that are very uncomfortable that are in fact cleansing, and it'll force you to rest, but it's very uncomfortable. I've been struggling with this whole throat infection, which is really, really funny considering that my whole thing is the voice, and I can't even come on here and strongly speak to you guys this week. It's been rough. I still, look, I love it. I love the show. I love everybody that listens. I was like, I'm going to show up regardless of what's going on. I'm going to go in. I'm going to record. I'm going to air an interview, and we're going to see it through. But trust me, it's been struggling. But do I feel like I practiced cleanliness this week? Yeah, I feel like I did. Like I said, sickness to me is automatically a cleanse. It's like you might, at least I crave a ton of fruit when I'm sick, like a ton, eating a ton of fruit. I crave a ton of water, like my water and fruit intake and my soup intake and my tea intake goes up by like 70% when I'm sick. And yeah, so my body is trying to ward off whatever foreign toxicities are out there. My body's like, nope, we're trying to get rid of that. We're trying to not let that through. So yeah, it's been interesting. Anyways, this week's weekly challenge, Santosha, contentment. I call this concept the iPhone syndrome, just because in my personal experience, this is how it's shown up in my life. Where I first became conscious of this was, when I get this, then I will be happy. Then I will be okay, or whatever. And this happened to me in 7th grade. My thought was like, once I get an iPhone, then I'll be happy. Then everything will be okay. This was the first time I became conscious of it, because once I got the iPhone, I was happy for a second, and then next thing you know, I was just depressed with an iPhone. And that's why I call it the iPhone syndrome, because I was placing my happiness in this material possession. I was placing it in something outside of myself, when the whole concept of this contentment is, look within yourself. The happiness is within you. Choose the happiness. Choose to be yourself. Choose. You know what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? Anyway, so that's my understanding of Santosha. How are we going to honor that this week? Gratitude. I would say this week's weekly challenge, I'm going to leave my journal by my bed or on my bed. Every morning I'm going to wake up and I'm going to write down 3 things that I'm grateful for. It could be the same thing every day. You could write down the same thing every day, but I would say write down 3 things that you're grateful for. Every morning you wake up, first thing you do, reach for that journal, write down 3 things you're grateful for. Practice that gratitude. Be grateful for the things that you have now, for how far you've come and how far you've got to go. That is the whole basic concept of Santosha. Being grateful for the now. Being content with what you got now. Saying, thank you now. Like, this is what I have now is great. Anyways, it's been a wonderful, lovely show, and I must stop recording. I honestly probably should not be talking this much. Yes. So it's been a great show. I enjoyed talking with you guys. Also, my last episode was all about the Kundalini situation. So if you would like to see a video of a Kundalini awakening or a Kundalini spirit, then follow me on Instagram at ConsistentlyKyah. Consistently spelled with a K. Kyah spelled Kyah. I posted it on there, and I honestly just think that they're funny to watch. They tickle me, so that might make you laugh. So go check it out. It's on Instagram. Before I go, I'd like to leave with a quote, and it's honestly unrelated to the show. It has nothing to do with the content of the show, but I was watching The Wizard of Oz, and I heard this quote, and I felt like it stuck with me. I was like, whoa, that was kind of profound. It sent me into a bit of a thought. Literally, The Wizard of Oz, he says, "A heart is not judged by how much you love, but by how much you are loved by others." And that's just to say that the love that we get from other people is a testament to our hearts. So even if I'm feeling like I don't get that much love from other people, maybe I need to start being a better person. Maybe I need to be a better person so people love me, and that can be a testament to how pure my heart is. I don't know, I liked that quote. Anyways, we're gonna end this show. Thank you for listening to the Perfect Prana Show on 88.1 FM WCRX, also available on Apple and Spotify. May the light and darkness within me bow to the light and darkness within you. Namaste.